Yeah.
Hey, San Antonio. Well, I got to do this here.
San Antonio!
Welcome, San Antonio. You're back here with your favorite podcast host and realtors, Ken Carter and
Brad Burns.
Hey, I did the intro and everything.
Oh, you did.
And we're back with a repeat offender, Lorenzo Gomez III, which is exciting. He's kind of our go-to to talk anything development San Antonio, political San Antonio, all things San Antonio, which is the podcast. So he's a great friend of the pod.
Honored.
So thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, I'm honored to be back.
I want to start with real quick. You just joined a company, so I want to get them out in the front and everything.
Yeah,
because it's it used to be SA Go.
Yeah, it was San Antonio Go or SA Go, and we rebranded to The Local. And it's an electric people moving service where, mostly companies hire us for a fixed route or for events. But the big thing was we won the UTSA downtown contract. So we're moving their students and faculty in between their main campus and their data science building. So
very cool.
Yeah, it's a partnership with VIA and Centro. And it's super cool. And it's just, I love it because it's just a little glimmer of what it takes to be an urban city.
Yeah.
Not having a car, not having to worry about parking. So it's been cool.
Especially like with everything that's going on with UTSA, like the amount of investment that's going on downtown is just.
They're going to move 10,000 students down there at some point. So that location will be this. It's going to be to us what UT Austin is to downtown. To Austin, and I think, it's exciting. So we're trying to get there. Before the madness happens. And just sort of work out the kinks, but the students and faculty love it. It's easy. It's sort of fun. You almost feel like you're in a tuk-tuk, like in Thailand. So people really seem to dig it.
Have you seen those the little trucks? Yeah, they're about how many seats are like
they're
3 or 4?
Six total, and they're just fun. It's almost like a go-kart.
Yeah.
I think it has a max speed of like 30 miles an hour, but they're just fun. People love being in them. So
and they're all electric.
They're all electric. Yeah.
Downtown is changing. I drove down there the other day. I was driving around, like the whole UTSA right there by the courthouse.
Yeah, they're building their second tower. It's called San Pedro 2 on the creek. The school, the data science building went up first, and then they've just went on an acquisition spree. They bought this whole block that's right across the street from City Hall, and then behind or right next to them, Weston Urban's doing the Continental, which is another 15-story residential development. And so, it's the cranes are there. It's great.
We're finally becoming a city of cranes.
Thank the good Lord. Yeah,
got to build up. So do you think that there's will they build residential living that is tied to the university, or is the expectation that private companies are going to build out living like kind of residential homes?
Yeah, my guess is that they'll do a combination of both. So right now Weston Urban's taking the lead. And I think that their stated plan is 3. They have 3 big projects. I forget the third one, but 300 Main, which is done. It's already 20% leased. That's the big tower. It's really cool. I got a tour of it. They've got some cool innovative stuff. The Continental, I think it's 11 stories or 15 something, but it's going to be a good one. And then they have a third one that they're planning on doing. And then they have the very controversial Mission District, which they were going to do resi on that if it gets approved. And so they're double downing on residential, which is great because that's really what the urban core has been missing. Like the central business district has not had a lot of residential density, and so it's needed badly.
Yeah, because we're seeing in what the Mission District. And it's funny, you were using that word district like it's it's his favorite word. It's like because
it's my love language.
The love like building up these little districts. Like I was talking about. I watched a TikTok in there just earlier today, and they were talking about it was a San Antonio person, and he was talking about the Mission. He goes, "This is not the Mission District is not the South Side." He goes, once you get past, he goes, "This is the Mission District. It's no longer the South Side." He goes, you might as well be at Brook City base at that point.
Is that the one I sent you?
No, it was a different one.
It might be the same guy though, because he was talking about the South Side. He was like, the only thing you need to know about the South Side is the HEB across the street from South Park Mall. He was like, then you got Mama Margie's over there, but it kind of lost some of its value once they opened up the Starbucks across the street.
That's hilarious. Yeah, it's weird. Like they're almost little. My co-founder Kevin, who I'm doing The Local with, he had this great insight. It's like, there's all these bubbles. We're famous for the bubbles.
Yeah.
And the bubbles, they have their own little like town square. So like the South Side has their own version of what their sort of quasi downtown is, or their informal downtown. Same with the West Side, East Side, and so they all have their own little like weird rules that they operate on, but which is fine. I think that's in a great
culture.
city.
It's like
you have great districts, but we've only done suburban power centers, and so I feel like San Antonio is getting used to what an actual district looks like, and so a lot of people that have never seen it, they're sort of trying to figure out, well, what do I call this thing? Because it's like Mission Reach is not really. I mean, it's like it's a cool area, but I wouldn't call it a district.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like because the missions are so spread apart. But if that's what people use, I mean, it's fine. But I like what we're talking about is highly concentrated, park once,
hyper local,
local. You're walking within a quarter mile to multiple places. Like that's what I think we're missing. And so it's exciting to see some of these projects. Now, if they'll happen, it's a whole other story. I mean, I want them to happen, but
what do you think about the San Antonio missions coming back downtown and what SAISD is asking for?
Oh my gosh! I mean, it is okay. So we're gonna start with the most controversial one. I mean,
I'm ready. I was gonna say like just the arena district that they were wanting.
Yeah, we get to that one second. But
okay, let's go. No,
because that's not as controversial as like
no, I don't mind. I mean, I always tell people I have lots of opinions and no answers. Yeah. So I think first off, I think it's a great idea. That area has been dead for
it's like
decades.
a dead spot of downtown.
It's a dead zone.
Yeah.
It's a dead part of the west side. And I think SAISD's response was terrible. I think that, I mean, I would even say, not to be dramatic, I think it was like philanthropic extortion is what happened. Because you have two big issues here. One is displacing the residents down there, and then two is building the stadium. And I think what they've done is they've conflated the two. Even if the stadium doesn't happen, Weston Urban is going to demo those. So there's nothing stopping them today from doing it. And I think that some people have, misled those residents into thinking if we stop this, we can save your apartments. Like, honestly, I mean, the reality is most renters are truly not safe unless you're in a lease. And so that's just the nature of the beast, for good or bad. So that's the first thing is, hey, those residents are going to get displaced, whether it goes forward. They think that if they stop this, it's going to stop it, and it's not.
The soap factory is going. That's what
it's going. Right? Yes, the soap factory. It is going to go, and so whoever's convinced these people that they can stop it is just lying to them. It's fake news. So that's the first one. The second one is, hey, is this thing going to happen? I think it is a huge positive. They're going to do something like 1,100 or 1,500 residential units.
Yeah, I think it was 1,250, something like
that. What's
awesome.
the average like square footage and price? Do they know?
They don't.
They just
I'm
said
not
affordable
sure.
housing. 1,250 affordable housing units.
Yeah, but this is the problem.
I love that word.
Yeah, well,
it's affordable. It's different to everybody.
It's inflation, y'all.
Well, and this is the other big controversial topic is whenever people demand affordable housing, I think it shows how much they don't understand what these things cost and what it takes to do it. Yeah. Because, it's not like rich guys just write a check for the price of the development. You got to go raise money. You got to go, cost of things. And so because we have a housing shortage, the only way to fight the price is to dramatically increase the supply. Yeah. And while you're doing that, the price is going to go up because the market's telling you don't have enough. And so it's just silly to me.
And the thing, at the end of the day, it's like I said, market will demand what the market demands. And like if you have 1,200 units and they all get rented, then they were affordable.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
They're affordable because they got rented. Like,
yes.
It may not have been affordable to your constituents that you were hoping to be able to rent them.
That's right.
But they're affordable units.
Yeah, that's right. And
we have a kind of a ceiling on what we can charge in San Antonio, anyways.
Yes, and the market's telling you, even if you rent them for San Antonio expensive rate, that's really the market's way of saying you don't have enough. Mm-hmm. If we were adding 10,000 a month, you'd see the price go up, and eventually, as it saturates, it would flatline and then it would go down. But we're on this end; we just don't have enough housing stock for it. And so I roll my eyes when you see certain council people just go, "The demanding it needs to be affordable." I go, only in the magical land of Narnia do you like wave your wand and make things affordable. Like, it's economics 101, supply and demand.
And you just have to look north again, and we bash Austin all the time, but like they're experiencing that downward trend right now
because they finally saturated.
They've saturated, and their rental rates are I wouldn't say plummeting, but they are adjusting back to a new level.
Yes.
Correcting.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you've got them and you've got us, and right in between you have New Braunfels, which last month was the highest rated rental apartment rents in the country, or is in New Braunfels, which again, it's affecting the Austin rates because the ones that were too expensive in Austin, so they start renting in New Braunfels because they're driving to Austin anyways.
That's right.
And then we live in a big enough metropolis between San Antonio and Austin that everything's going to balance out.
Yes, and I think what happens is you get community leaders and politicians that they want a quick win, and so they say affordable housing. And I just
especially
think
District 2.
Yeah, I just think it's disingenuous. I mean, you
call him out.
I mean, you can't. you can't
he's
say
a hindrance to so many different projects.
And D2 is a great example. Like I watched when they had these apartments that were going to go online near Alamo Brewery, and they came out gentrification. And when they shot it down, I was like, all you've done is accelerated the very thing you're trying to fight, which means all that housing around there, you just made it more finite. You just made it more expensive because it's more valuable now that there's no more stock. Yeah. And so they really inadvertently do the thing they don't want, but they're flying the flag of I'm fighting gentrification, which they're actually not. But it's a great soundbite. And so I mean, for me, I'm a simple guy. And I once saw this great Harvard economist, Ed Glacier, and I saw him speak once, and he said, there's no way to repeal the law of supply and demand. There's just no way around it. If you want the price to go down, you have to increase the supply. That's it. You can subsidize it, right? But if you subsidize it, you've just helped a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. That's not scalable at the amounts that we're talking about. And so you have to incentivize developers to build a lot of stuff. Now you want to do it smartly so it's not garbage, but you need to let them loose to actually build a lot of stuff and build up.
Well, and even taking it from like kind of where the whole country has gone is to a point of like, let's be a little bit more business friendly.
Yes.
Because, and I was listening to the All In podcast and they were talking about like the regulations, and I started thinking about like what we deal with when building here in San Antonio, going in front of the Board of Adjusters and going through zoning, and it's like all of these regulations, you never have a regulation go away, and so you have regulation upon regulation upon regulation, and it's like you don't know what the first regulation was even for.
Yeah.
And it's like it's such a hindrance. We just started in San Antonio, which I get, like there's good with the bad and everything, but now our general contractors have to pass a test before they just have to register and get it and everything, and it's.
A lot of them are struggling.
A lot of them are struggling because a lot of them aren't great test takers.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest.
Yeah,
like
that's right.
Like the demographic that go into that field a lot of times. It's not going in and taking a government standardized test. Is not what's going to be. It's not given. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it's you have to have a good balance of regulation that protects all the things, environment, but really not making it so cumbersome that it actually increases your cost. But going back to SAISD, there's so many problems with the way they handle it. Their list of demands included a guarantee of like
400.
It was 11
for life.
Well, that was another one. It was build a $45 million school.
Yep.
$400,000 a year, board seat in the development.
250 car parking garage.
250 parking garage, and then a guaranteed of I think it was like 1,000 affordable units.
I think it was 1,250.
Yeah. So, this is what
the annual thing. That was what when I saw like of everything. I was like, I can get it. Okay, well, you want us to get paid?
I'm telling you, this is I've never seen anything philanthropic extortion. And but I think here's the actual problem: is that what someone should do is actually take that list of demands and put the real price of it. So, for example, if you say you need 12, I want you to guarantee you're going to create 1,200 affordable units. What you've just said is $100 million sentence. Mm-hmm. So I mean, think about how unreasonable that is. You're demanding someone throw down $100 million, and that $45 million bill. Who gave you that estimate? That's probably closer to an $80 or $90 million building. So let's just start stacking up these crazy. So You're wanting a guarantee of over $100 million of housing and probably 80 to $90 million building. Who knows what a parking garage costs, right? Let's just talk on another $10 to $20 million on that. A $400,000 a month fee. There's negotiating in good faith. And then there's crazy unreasonable,
and then
which I think is
spot on the board for the superintendent to
spot,
ensure they continue to extort them.
Here's the other, yes, it's crazy, yeah. So he can disrupt. But the other thing too is the way they issued their counter. I thought was really terrible because they didn't formally submit a counter to the company. They issued it as a press release, and what they did when they did that was they burned the ships. So they said that it was their informal way of saying, we are not going to negotiate in good faith. We are going to burn the ships, and there's no way to walk it back now because that would look silly. And I just think this is such a terrible way to do negotiation. Like you can compare it to a couple years back, the Alamo, the new Alamo renovation. So they were going to use eminent domain to take this bar Moses Roses.
Yep.
So that guy came back and said they offered him $2 million. And he came back and said, I want $10 million, which is sort of, laughable. But he's negotiating, right? They come back, they bump it to $5 million, right? He sues him. They bump it to $5 million, they call it even, right? I go, that's the way a negotiation happens. It's like, that's reasonable. What they did was just so weird.
But I think it's crazy they're asking for all that stuff. I mean, the $45 million building they're asking for. How many schools do they have in their district sitting empty because they started combining them?
Yeah.
Like, what do you need another building
I think there's
for?
11. I think there's 11 or 13 is the number, or maybe even 17 buildings that
just sitting empty.
They've got to figure out what they're going to do.
Oh, no. I mean, I think we're getting down to the real issue. I think that, I would say that superintendent is presiding over one of the biggest crises in SAISD. He has the largest amount of closures in the history. They have a decline in enrollment, which there's a lot of reasons for that have nothing to do with SAISD. So I'll give him that.
Charter schools are just getting in there and eating it up.
Yeah, they're
well, exactly. It also depends
because competition.
I say Frisco, Texas is experiencing something similar because people aren't moving in anymore. Theirs is on the other end of it. It's become unaffordable for young families. And so they have a graying, and I think that for different reasons we have a graying, older population living there. And you just don't have the kids anymore, and it's
that's right.
But here's something that and this is kind of my own thing, is why do we even have 5 or 6 districts within San Antonio that we're paying
I actually think it's larger. I think it's something
it's crazy.
10 to 15.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Why we just don't have one district and combine and consolidate and reduce those costs. That's a simple way to reduce some costs, I feel like.
Oh yeah, no, that is.
If we have a one city manager,
I feel that would streamline a lot. I think you could just do one whole episode of just on that debacle because you have so many incentives to keep the system the way it is.
Always.
All these trustees feeling important. They're not trying to put themselves out of a job. The super's not trying to put himself out of a job. Or the chief financial officer. You've duplicated all of these expenses. But I just thought if they were truly wanted to negotiate, I thought it was horribly handled. I think whoever was advising them gave them great I try to put myself in their shoes and I go, okay, I'd have been okay if they say, hey, you know what? We think this parking lot's worth $2. We're gonna stick it to you, and we're gonna charge you $8 for it. I go, even that would be, not really, but sort of. It shows you're trying to negotiate. But it was so crazy what they issued. They should have just said, give us a fulfillion, quintillion. You should have just made up a number. That's how unreasonable it was.
This many zeros.
Yeah, exactly. I just go, that's crazy.
I just need a few Bitcoins.
Yeah. So I go, now, I hope it happens, but I think, that is, I don't even know where you go.
Because the missions aren't bringing in that much money.
No, of course not. Yeah, exactly.
They still got dollar nights. Come on.
Yeah, you're not, you might be able to pull that with the Spurs thing that they're doing over there, but not for missions, I also think, again, things that are unpopular to say out loud, I just think it's real easy to pick on the rich white real estate guy. And it's people say so many things because, when I worked for the foundation, you hear people say ridiculous things like, well, so-and-so, let's pick on Charles Butt. Well, he's a billionaire. Can't he just write a check for 60? And I go, wealthy people don't get wealthy by doing stupid things like that. Like they diversify their assets. They're very strategic about their thing. They go raise money. They go have partners, and that's what you have to do. You can't just say, "Oh, Graham's just gonna." What can he just write us a check for a $45 million bill? That's so ridiculous.
Yeah,
but it's crazy because they got. Literally, SAIG got stuck in that mindset, but even so many regular people were stuck in that mindset.
Yes.
Oh, I got this family member that might have a little bit of money. Every problem I run into,
just call them up.
Yeah,
exactly.
Hey, save me.
Yeah, exactly. It really, yeah. I think it comes from a scarcity mindset, and it's just it's not how the real world works. The real world works. It's just So I hope they can get it done, because at the end of the day, that area of downtown needs it. It needs it for all the reasons. It needs more residents that make it safer. It needs more housing in general. It's going to create a lot of economic development, a lot of jobs. You'll have a lot of great food and beverage operators move into that area. All the adjacent areas will benefit from it. 5 Points. I mean, there's so much, it's a dead zone in that area right now, and it'll come back to life. And so I find it, for example, Haven for Hope's in that area. You could have so many jobs that help transition those and residents.
Easy to get back and forth.
Easy to get back and forth.
Bus lines are close by.
You don't even
everything.
bus. It's 2 blocks away.
It's
10 blocks
exactly.
Away, yeah.
The Via Transit Center is right there. So there's so many ingredients that will make that district powerful, and it's just I think it's being thwarted by short-sightedness. So that's just it's just one man's opinion.
I'm right there with. I think one, they got to figure out what they got to do to make them happy to release that land.
Yeah. You can get into an imminent domain war.
It's something that's most likely is going to get settled in a court through arbitration, and it's like, because people always just put values on things that they just kind of make up, and from both sides, it's going to be more advantageous, and someone's going to have to come in neutral and just, I don't know, there's so much benefit to San Antonio at this point, especially if we get into the other part with the arena stuff going downtown.
Oh yeah.
If with all of that happening at once, we're in a spot right now that we could have this rapid growth.
Yes.
In the next 10 years, downtown can be crazy.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And also, look at it another way. The Western Urban team could say, this is a hassle. Let's just sell it to a developer out of town who gives zero about anybody and just levels and does whatever. Okay, let's bring 10 pawn shops. There's so many other bad alternatives that I think are sad. Because now, if I'm them, I go, why would I want to go through all this hassle to have such a bad neighbor, that's literally looking me in the face and saying, I'm going to bend you over and extort you. It's crazy.
We really have to be thoughtful about it, because I was driving down Culebra the other day, just yesterday actually, and also I was leaving Bitterson 281 area to go to Castroville at 5:30, and it was going to be an hour and 45 minutes. Unless I went all the way down San Pedro, then took Culebra to Denver Mullen. And so I'm going down these streets, and back in the day, I used to sell pagers. And you had all these mom and pop shops. And then then you had your Primeco and wireless and this and that wireless. We've always been a town, and now we have, and I state of it because every other store is like a CBD, a Delta 8 dispensary, but we've always been a town or city of what is that retail thing that I can open up? You know what I mean? It's
totally.
Custom sound,
yes.
We've always had just streets of entrepreneurs at heart. But this is the only thing that they can do.
Yeah,
as far as the quick way to get in there, whether it was Beanie Babies or whatever it was back in the day. Yeah. And now it's just Delta 8 and all down. Literally, it's kind of too much, but that's another story. So we've got to be intentional about we build out these cores and stuff like that, so that we have neighborhoods and things that are more. And it's not that those things aren't family friendly, but people don't want to live in an area where there's a green shop every other corner.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. And I think one of the biggest, one of the things that makes these stories sad is that when you look at Western Urban and when you look at the Spurs organization, right, they're going to get pushback, which I think is not fair. when they have proven over decades to be some of the best corporate citizens that you can ask for. There's a lot of organizations that don't reinvest a penny in the city, and those two are ones that have a proven track record, and so they're great corporate citizens. And so I can imagine a future where it just becomes another cutthroat real estate town where it's like, just let the out-of-towners come and just do their thing, and they won't care one iota about your neighborhood, and they're going to do what they're going to do. And so that's what worries me, is why don't we enable these people that have a proven track record of, and I'm going to get, called a sellout or whatever. But I just go, look, the data.
But it's not a sellout. It's like you're like your homie.
This is data.
You're talking about hometown stuff.
I go, let's put the data on the table. I feel the data supports itself. These aren't emotions. I go, very few people. HEB, incredible corporate citizen. Spurs organization, Weston Urban, what they've done collectively is more than most people will ever imagine, because most of it's done behind the scenes. And so anyway, so I hope they happen. I hope both of them happen. I think it's funny. The bigger project, the Frost one or the Spurs one, I think has a little easier path than the Missions one, which is weird to me.
Did they figure out the thing with the Institute of Texas Culture?
Oh yeah, that one's been settled for a while. Like, there was a designation that the UT system voted on a while back that paved the way for it. So it's ready to go. Well,
I thought they designated that it was a
they just
historical.
No.
It's
like
it was the
less
opposite.
than a month ago. I thought we saw that.
They were trying to they changed the designation. I forget what it is. I can look it up.
Yeah.
But they did something that paved the way for them to demo it, and they can move it.
And see, for me, that's huge. Like, I hate more than anything people having emotional ties to brick and mortar that has it's holding back because I think about Guinness beers, when they signed a lease for the Guinness thing for, it was like a 100,000-year lease for nothing forever, and it's like having future generations live up or live down or live in the standards or the designs and everything that you did, because it's some sort of emotional tie to it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's down, take a picture and tear it down.
It doesn't get more emotional than historic. I'll tell you that right now.
Just like that house in the middle of the Alamo Dome parking lot.
I see that every day. It's so silly. I just go, so you save this thing.
For what?
For what? Yeah. I guarantee you, of the millions of people that have passed through this arena, not one of them has gone into that building.
I think it's locked out and closed off.
Yeah, exactly. It's not...
when you have a district like King William, where you've got a community that's based on a design aesthetic and stuff like that, and everything.
Oh yeah.
And you have some that need a lot more work than others and everything like that. I get trying to save some of that because of that.
Oh, totally.
But even then, it's
they can go to the extremes.
I kind of maybe tear down a couple.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's it. I read an article a while back. Actually, no, it was 6 months ago. David Adelman, great downtown developer, super stud guy, and he has a property on the west side. And they've denied him. It's a tear down. He's crunched the numbers, and they just don't care. They slap historic, and they go, the first left-handed Hispanic dude walked through it, and so put the plaque on. And I go, man, okay, so right now as it
how
does
that lift up the community?
It doesn't.
That's the thing. It's
it doesn't lift up the community.
It just keeps them in a past.
100%. I think that there so many of the things that we do in the name of preservation, not historic preservation, but in the name of preservation in general, I actually think does the complete opposite. And it keeps these communities in the vice grip of generational poverty. That building, I guarantee you, if we were to drive down there right now from this studio, there's probably 20 people, homeless people, that have broke inside and are in there right now. Yeah. And that's the way it's going to be. And so you have a guy, once again, a guy who's a local, a guy has a proven track record of doing really great developments. He's committed to local businesses, right? Keeping the money here. And he wants to do something, and he's just getting, pushback. And I go, oh, man. It's there's this article I'm working on, and it's a quote. It starts off with a quote from my friend Diego Bernal. He's a state rep, and he said, San Antonio makes you fall in love with the idea of helping it. And I said, I want to amend that statement. And I want to say, San Antonio makes you fall in love with the idea of helping it. And then it fights you every step of the way. It's like the love-hate relationship. It's like an abusive marriage where it's like, I love you, but also I'm not going to give you anything. I'm going to fight everything. I'm going to disagree with everything. And you're like, oh my gosh. But for some reason, we're all still here in the good fight, you know.
But because it is a good fight.
Because it's worth it. It is worth it.
San Antonio, it's worth the price.
Yes.
Like, for sure.
I'm excited to just see the change that's coming in the next 10 years. Like, everything's up and bubbling. Like, I say the Spurs go back downtown, that $4 billion project goes. I bet you SX Modern City sparks back up and something actually 100%. Happens with that. Lone Star sparks back up, something happens with that. Like, I think everything is going to change around that.
Those are all you know, it's sort of cliche to say transformative project, but all of those that you just mentioned have the ability to transform those parts of the urban core. I mean, they're incredible. So
like modern Essex is like, people talk about it like all the time, and it's just what it is. It's like nothing still. It's like
they still shipping containers.
They still have little taco festivals, and the people are like still excited to go down there and do it. And it's like it's not even been developed. Like the potential it has.
Oh, it's so much potential.
It's like literally like this pent up balloon just ready to burst.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you go in that area. That area has so much like raw square footage that you can do.
Oh yeah,
I mean, huge stuff with, and it's so close to Southtown. Mm-hmm. Like whenever someone finally, you know, wrestles it and makes it pencil, and I think one of the big obstacles is Union Pacific. There's some type of obstacle with them. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a noise ordinance or whatever. But whenever it gets solved, you're just.
But see, that's just, again, it's a regulation then. If it is a
totally fixable thing. Yes.
A totally fixable thing with a piece of paper and a pen. Yes. It's not even like hard. It's like
it's crazy. Yeah, it's not
the sword. The saying that the pen is mightier than the sword. Is like so. It's like. But I got this piece of paper. We can't do it.
Well, so many developers have ran out of money on those projects.
Yeah, that's right.
I think Lone Star's been to foreclosure a couple times. Like
it's so Lone Star is so fascinating to me because that area is prime. It's so it's on the river. I mean, it is so much like acreage of river frontage. I mean, it's gonna be, you know, but it's right there in the middle of it all. I mean, I think it's great. I think if we can get at least one of these two, I mean, I hope both of them go through, Mission and the Spurs. I think it'll pave the way because right now all the outside people are watching. Yeah. The outside money is going to see how this plays out. I think the Spurs one will happen though. That's probably the one that I think is the most feasible.
I think when they got Wemby in here now, like they have to.
We're talking about Stephen Castle, baby.
Yeah, but a lot of times when you get these new players in the team, they develop things around it. So like they got the AT&T Center, the Alamo Dome. Like
it's kind of our timeline. Like that's how San Antonio does. It's like we go down and then we get our good draft picks and everything. We grab the right people.
Yes.
And then at the same time, the city rises with it. Like development rises with it. Like because the excitement.
There's so much energy around a good Spurs team.
It's
as my mentor Graham once said, everybody wants to be a valued member of a winning team. Mm-hmm. And they are the city's winning team. And when they're winning, every San Antonian, regardless of their socioeconomic, they feel like the winner. Mm-hmm. And they feel like they're winning. And that's why they're so important. But I'll tell you, I believe that if we don't do this, it's only a matter of time before they move to Austin.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's just like when we were at Rackspace, I remember when they opened that Austin office, it accelerated the exit of every young single person in San Antonio. And they actually regretted doing it. It's like, oh my gosh, we just shipped out all of our talent. And what's going to happen is this is what I think is one of the main selling points for that development is you need a castle worthy of the winning championship team, right? You need a Buckingham Palace to think like a winner and to be a winner. And right now, again, unpopular opinion, the Frost Center is an island. It is this sad island that you helicopter in. Yeah, people know it, but it's unpopular to say because people will misconstrue it and think I'm talking trash about the East Side, which I'm not. I'm talking trash about this strategy, which is you built an island and everybody helicopters in and out. Whereas if you go, I went to a luchador event in Mexico City, and it was in the middle of a district. You hung out before, you stayed later. Everywhere, Central and South America, their stadiums are in the middle of all the action, right? You go to Europe, same thing. Only in San Antonio we create this island, and it's just sad. And
it's funny. It's like and this is like probably this is gonna be a very unpopular way to say it, but like pitting the Frost Center there was one of the first DEI mistakes that San Antonio made.
100%.
They had a better I'm glad I didn't do it now, but where Hero Stadium is and the Star Soccer Complex, the quarry up there, where they originally planned on putting it there.
Yes.
And building restaurants in the multi kind of use district, everything.
Yes.
And it would have been amazing. Right there off 35, right there off Wurzbach Parkway, easy access to Austin and all that. And they put it in the east side.
I totally agree with you.
Shit.
I think the east side just didn't grow up.
No, it was they literally all you saw was in the newspaper is the north side always gets everything. We never get anything.
Okay.
You have to put it on the east side.
You just nailed it. That's the problem. This is the problem with having single member districts in city council, is that this is one of the potential problems. If you don't have long-term thinkers on there, then it becomes what am I getting from me? And so that's how we create these islands. Imagine a city where Retama Park is next to the Missions, is next to the Spurs Stadium, right? It's all right there. But we play this game of, well, my neighborhood deserves this. And frankly, like, the great cities of the world are only famous for their urban core, right? Like, you have to have a concentration. And it doesn't mean that they're better than the neighborhoods. It just means that's how you design good urban spaces. But we've fallen into this game, well, my neighborhood needs the big. And it actually, you're actually doing a disservice to the city at large because you're practicing bad urbanism and bad urban planning. And that's what we've done. But it's been the game of, well, the Me Too. Hey, I want a big thing over here. I want a big structure. And if these council people, which I'm glad we're voting 4-year terms now, so now they can think a little bit longer term. But all of the transformative projects has been a leader, Nelson Wolf, Julian, that said, I'm thinking a decade or more. Yeah. And I'm going to make decisions that are for that. That's how we get these islands, is by short-term thinking. And it's such a problem.
I think dividing it up, too. Like, you go back to a house divided can't stand.
Totally.
And then when you break everything down into the districts, it divides everybody up, puts everybody on their own islands.
Not the micro districts that we like, but
not the micro district.
A city district.
Yeah. But we do it with everything. Look at the universities, right? St. Mary's is over there, UTSA is over there, A&M San Antonio is over there. We played the same game, and as
UTSA is changing it though.
That's exactly,
which is great.
And actually, it's because Taylor Amy, the president, helped redo an urban university in Arizona, and so he understood the power of the transformative power of having a nice, dense university in downtown. But we do it with and this is what I always tell people. I go, if we played a game and said, cover your eyes and imagine what part of town, what street you imagine lots of college students scurrying about. The answer is nowhere. But if you do the same game in Austin, it's all 6th Street. Yeah. You can see them, but you never see a little a little pack of college students unless you're on a university. Yeah. There's no place outside of it in our city because they're spread to the 4 winds. And this is what we've done with universities. We've done it with stadiums. We do it with everything. We do it with parks. So you just go, okay. And meanwhile, you've not created anything truly special, which is why these 2 projects are so transformative, because for the first time ever in the city, we're going back and we're planning on it the right way. Yeah. Right? We just happen to do it where inflation's, sky high, so the price tags are a little bit high, but I still think they're worth doing,
But if things go the way that people like, I was Elon and Vivek. I'm hopeful that they can do the things that they need to do with the Department of Government Efficiency. Because if they can do what they say, if they can do a fraction of it,
totally,
it's going to create just growth. It's gonna, and that's what we need. It's like, and people get tired. They don't like to hear about the tariffs or this or that and everything. But it's going to create a situation where we're just investing back in America. Like, if products from outside of America are too expensive, and it doesn't cost a lot to make the things that it used to be that we bought foreign goods because the labor was so much cheaper. labor in China has gone through the roof.
Right.
Like, and they're having their whole. So it's like it's not necessarily cheaper now, especially when you talk about importing it and the shipping and everything.
Yes.
And so to truly, if you want to have like a prosperous nation and a more green nation, in that way, because you don't have to transport things all across the world.
That's right.
There's some good opportunities, and like
and it affects us because Laredo is the number one land port into the U.S. Period, which is why there's so much violence on the other side to control it. And I think in the upcoming mayoral election, you're going to see there's only really two candidates talking about that: the effect, the sleeping giant economically of Mexico and San Antonio pairing up together, and that's Beto and Rolando. And they of all the million candidates that are running, see that whoever the next future mayor is going to be needs to have a strong partnership, because we are Manhattan to that South Texas triangle.
There you go.
We are the big city, and we don't leverage it economically. I mean, they should all be moving money, setting up shop here, starting businesses here, expanding businesses here, and we don't really leverage it the way that we should.
Yeah.
But it's because, the tariffs is going to be a big thing, but really sort of kickstarting and accelerating a lot of that entrepreneurship between the border, I think is going to be crucial. And those people will be driving to these districts. Like, that's the thing, is that these districts are not just San Antonio, they're for the entire region. So you can draw all these people that want to come. Hotels, all of it.
Boutique hotels,
Absolutely.
not just your Marriott hotels.
Yes, the gravitational pull of both of those developments cannot be understated.
And the boutique hotels are the ones that are going to be owned by individuals more so,
Yes.
local people.
Totally.
It's gonna be huge.
It's going to be huge.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we've been talking. We're hopeful to get all of the mayor candidates to come on here and and put forth their platform.
Yeah.
I
think you should, and I think they should. I mean, this is the new way of getting their story out.
If anything, the presidential election told us that. It's
go on
to podcasts that are going to speak to your audience.
I really think I think it's the future, and I think
Trump went on Rogan.
Yep.
Kamala Harris went on Call Me Daddy.
Yeah.
Cuban went on Hot Tour.
Yeah, but it's the new way. I think Elon, he had something really insightful. He said, because anybody can go through their canned responses for a little while, but the more you talk to someone, he was like, hours 2 and 3, there's no hiding.
No, you pull it out.
Yeah.
And if I tell people, like, I'm not political as far as right or left by far, and I was so impressed on listening to Trump actually be able to talk for 3 hours and his ability to recall like facts and numbers and things. And it was I wanted to hear the other side of that. I would have loved to seen the other side of it to give an alternative like view and everything. But
you know what Rogan said, which I thought was fascinating, was he was like I think it was Rogan said it. The real future is having two candidates with no host and just let them talk, because I feel like you put someone in that environment, it forces them to be civil. Where it's like you can't just start name calling; you almost have to have. And I just thought that the person that makes that happen will have created an innovation in the way that these things happen.
How crazy though, to the thought of that, to have two of our potential presidential nominees, right? These people, to be able to have a civil discourse and just have a communication. That seems like how they'll start fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what are we? We were the land of the free, the freedom of speech, the home of the brave. This is crazy. We're supposed to be like, let's just talk it out. And so the fact that that's.
Well, and I actually think that this is why I think local level podcasting is incredible, because it's more feasible to do what you're talking about with the local candidates, right? Because I always say, fixing potholes is not left or right. Sidewalks are not partisan. The local it's much easier to build consensus on local issues. So I think
shouldn't be party.
It shouldn't be. It should be agnostic.
It's totally. It's straight person, no parties.
Exactly.
Especially for local elections. But Hyperlocal is where it's at. Hyperlocal is our
100%.
podcast, All Things San Antonio. Hyperlocal is where you're focused on your districts.
That's the name of the game.
We appreciate it again coming on.
They want to get you on again.
Yeah, no, I'm
Make
happy.
it very regular.
Hey, I'll come back if you invite me. Okay? You're gonna evict me at some point. I'm never leaving.
No, the like I said, you're all things land development, San Antonio development and politics. It's gonna be more regular for sure.
I can't wait. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Thanks for
All right,
coming.
fellas. Yeah, of
Do us
course.
a favor, hit that like and subscribe button,
yeah.
and we'll catch you on the next episode.